Steve Carrianen.
Here.
Kay Wilson. Tweed Schuman.
Here.
Stacy Hessel. Randy Newman. Mark Helwig. Tom Duffy. Marshall Savitsky. Jim Evans.
Here.
Chuck Van Etten. Jeff Haney. John Righeimer. Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buckholtz.
Present.
Dale Magnuson. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Number 5, certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting was noticed to the media and public as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 6 is the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 7 is public comment. Welcome to Hayward. The Berkey Binder's here. Mr. Fred Clark. Please state your name, address. Try to keep it with about 3 minutes, please.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Fred Clark, Bayfield, Wisconsin. Do you want a street address? 230 North Broad Street, Bayfield, Wisconsin. Good to see you all tonight. I'm here tonight to introduce myself to you. I am a candidate for Congress here in the 7th Congressional District, which, as you know, is a district currently represented by Tom Tiffany and includes about 1/3 of the state of Wisconsin. It's actually I believe the 3rd largest congressional district geographically east of the Mississippi. Just a little bit about my background. I'm a career forester and conservation manager. I moved to Wisconsin 36 years ago to go to school at UW-Madison, and for many years ran a forestry management, logging, tree planting, forestry services, contracting business from my home in Baraboo in Sauk County. I did work all over the state of Wisconsin in that regard, and I served on the Council on Forestry. I also served on the Natural Resources Board in 2018, appointed by Governor Evers. And I served 3 terms in the Wisconsin State Assembly representing parts of Sauk, Columbia, and Marquette counties between 2009 and 2014. So I have some background in public service and quite a bit of background as a small business owner and providing services to forest owners around the state. But I've always been, I guess, passionate about public policy and public service. And I would like to represent you in Congress next year. As you know, this is an open seat with Representative Tiffany running for governor. And as you probably know, there are quite a number of other candidates that are vying for this seat. I am the best. And I'm a Democrat. And as somebody who's represented districts that are mixed politically in the past, and of course we have a big mix politically here in northern Wisconsin, it's always been my belief and my experience that you have to go to work with the mindset of working to represent everybody. And we have far more in common in rural Wisconsin than we have that separates us. And as an elected official, as you all know as elected officials, it's your responsibility to find the solutions that work out the best for everyone involved, even when we don't all agree. But we have to listen, we have to show up, we have to do the work to understand the issues. My single biggest agenda and what I would like to achieve is to help our Congress go back to the role that the Constitution creates for it and the founders of our country designed and intended. And that means the Congress needs to design our policies, design our programs. They need to be the ones deciding how we appropriate and spend our money and create our revenue. And right now our Congress has ceded far too much power to the executive branch. There's a lot of work for the Congress to do, and I want to see our Congress stand up and be much more active in doing what they should do in a truly balanced society. So I'd love to work with you all as your next representative in Congress. I would be glad to follow up with you. I left flyers with a number of you. I'm more than welcome to reach out to me, but I will be back here again and throughout Sawyer County and the other 25 counties in the 7th Congressional District to make the case for good representation in 2026. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Zimmer.
Good evening, Linda Zilmer, resident of the Village Birchwood and Edgewater property owner. The two agenda items tonight I would like to address are both related to planning and one of them related to conservation. On February 3rd, I made the trip down to Madison to watch Natalie and Tim present the 10-year Sawyer County Land and Water Resource Management Plan, which is on your agenda for tonight. It is something that 2 years ago, at the start of this 2-year supervisory term, I mentioned to the then chairman of the Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee meeting that they had something big to do over the next 2 years, which was the Land and Water Resource Management Plan, which was done in a couple meetings that were not publicly noticed or available readily for the public to attend. And so I think there could have been a lot more input into the conservation plan, especially in times of diminishing resources to achieve some of those conservation goals. And when I went down and I listened to Tim and Natalie give their abbreviated presentation that summarizes what's in that plan, I learned that there is a backlog of conservation projects in Sawyer County. I don't know how many, I don't know what the dollar amount is, but that plan allows Sawyer County to receive state funding for both some of their staff's salaries as well as projects. So at this month's Land and Water Resource Management Committee meeting, I asked for a future agenda item to consider taking the $100,000 that's in the capital improvement plan, and we don't need to rewrite the zoning ordinances, but put that towards catching up with the conservation projects that are backlogged. The other item is the strategic plan, and earlier today I was able to send you all an email that has been an ongoing request of mine to actually do strategic planning. I gave you two examples of workshop materials from UW Extension, one from 2006, which included Burnett County, and a link to the Burnett County strategic plan, and another one from a workshop I went to in 2016. So I think what you have started as far as gathering perceptions from your county board supervisors is a start, but there's a lot more work to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online? Scott, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. My address is 1960 Rain Valley Court, Tallahassee, Florida, 32308. My phone number is 850-728-7618. I'm speaking to you this evening to request consideration for a letter of support for my project regarding the 70th anniversary of the Lawrence Welk Show's national debut. The show was originally on national television for more than 25 years in many parts of the country, including where I live. It's still shown regularly on weekends. And I sent, I believe a few days ago, 2 days ago, an email on this that gives you a little bit more detail on the support that I've received across the country, including in your neighboring state of Minnesota so far for this. The end goal is to see if Congress might approve a symbolic resolution honoring the positive contributions to American culture of Lawrence Welk, Myron Florin, and the cast of the show. I'm doing this as a 37-year-old. I care about this because I'm the third generation to watch the show, as I've already said, but also my mom grew up watching it. And when she would go in the kitchen, sometimes when Arthur Duncan was performing, she would pretend to tap dance growing up. And so the show means something to the family. And then one of your speakers was talking about his connections with different parts of Wisconsin a few minutes ago. And my own family on my father's side has Wisconsin roots in Greene County. And we have family in Marathon County currently. I've been to the state a few times and I personally love it for what it's worth. It's very beautiful. People have been friendly. And so also the show's relevance to the state though is Milwaukee had Kenny Trimble was a member of the show's musical section, was from Milwaukee. Kathy Sullivan was a singer from Kenosha that was born in Oshkosh. Miller Brewing Company in Milwaukee was one of the sponsors of Mr. Welk before his show started. And in Monroe, again in Greene County, he actually performed there, Turner Hall, and they still mention that on their website. So there's probably countless other stories people across the state could share, but these are some of my stories. These are some of the connections to Wisconsin. Also, Governor Thompson in 1994 signed a bill declaring polka the state dance of Wisconsin. I believe it still is. And so I believe it's very relevant as somebody with Wisconsin roots myself, the show's roots there, and the traditional culture of many people in the region, the Midwest in general. Many states, county commissions have approved letters of support or proclamation, some kind of way of recognizing the anniversary. And so if you would like any additional information, I'm happy to provide it in the future, or if anybody wants to ask me questions. I know you can't ask questions right now, but in the future, if anybody would like to reach out by email or phone, I'd appreciate that. If anyone would like to get in touch with the media in your area, if anybody wants to interview me or cover this, I'd appreciate that. I'm just about finished. So I just want to thank all of you for having me and hearing me out. And in closing, today I sent, I believe, around a dozen of the items that I mentioned, the support items that you can review at your leisure. So thank you for your time and your consideration. I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Anybody else? Pardon?
Did somebody ask me something?
Okay,
No, no, Scott, we were talking about
Oh.
another caller. Thank you.
Okay.
we'll move forward. Number 8, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was January 15th. The motion by Mr. Buckles. Second by Mr. Magnuson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 9, presentation Northwoods Technical College, Mr. John Will. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to be with you all tonight. I'll just wait a second till the presentation gets up here. Am I good to go? Am I good to go? All right, got the right spot. Well, thanks again for having me tonight. I'm John Will, president at Northwood Technical College, and I look forward to sharing some kind of college-wide highlights with you today, and also some things that are happening a little bit more locally. And so if you want to go to the next slide. I always like to start these presentations by just giving a little bit of an overview of the college district. We have a very large technical college district, not quite as large as the 7th Congressional District, but as far as technical colleges in Wisconsin go, it's the largest technical college by geography. We have 4 comprehensive campuses, one in Rice Lake, one in New Richmond, one in Superior, and one in Ashland. And I like to put this up here for a couple of reasons. One, over the last few years, what you'd find if you talk to our students is that more and more of our students receive services from multiple campuses. So a student in Rice Lake might be getting services from a faculty member in Ashland, or student services from somebody in Superior. Likewise, people in Sawyer County or in Hayward can access a lot of our programming virtually. Including services like financial aid advising, counseling services, and all of the things that we do at the college. And so that's been a good thing, I think, in education, is that it's become much more flexible over time. And then the other reason I like to put this up here is because you can see those other lines around the state, and those represent other technical college districts. There's 16 technical colleges in Wisconsin, and they're organized kind of like giant school districts. We're a form of municipal government, so we have property tax authority and some elements that are similar to counties and other municipalities. Just like to provide that as an overview. Not all states are organized this way. Wisconsin has a big investment in technical education. In a lot of states, they have community colleges, but not technical colleges that are occupationally focused. And that's a difference in our state. If you go to national conferences and talk about 2-year colleges, Wisconsin is also commonly recognized as a national leader for the kind of education that our state has supported over time. So if you want to go to the next slide. So what people often want to know about our college is kind of what's going on with enrollments. And you can see the last 3 years here, we were coming off of a dip kind of in the pandemic area in fiscal year 2023. So that's the academic year that ends on June 30th of 2023. But the next 2 years we saw growth. And so we increased in FY24 and FY25. This year we're projecting a slight decrease. And next year we have some indicators that suggest we're going to increase and some that suggest we're going to shrink. And so we have kind of a flat enrollment projection for next year. Probably the most important thing to point out on this slide, though, is printed in the smallest font on the bottom, and that's that our enrollment is 14,000 people. So the FTE measurement that I'm putting up there is a way of thinking about our enrollments as if all of our students took 30 credits like a full-time college student, but we do a lot of short-term programming. And so if you count the number of people that we serve in the college district, it's a lot more than our FTE. So we serve 14,000 individuals on an annual basis throughout the area. So we do a lot of short-term programming. We work with about 100 volunteer fire departments. That's a really good example. That programming, initial fire certification, firefighter certification is short-term programming. And so that doesn't equal a full FTE, but it is very important programming that we do throughout the region. If you want to go to the next slide. And all throughout Wisconsin, our technical colleges, I think, are known for occupational outcomes. And at Northwood Tech, we're no different. In our most recent graduate follow-up survey, 93% of our graduates were employed within 6 months of graduation. That number fluctuates between 92 and 95%, depending upon the year. But very strong likelihood that someone is employed if they get a degree from Northwood Technical College. The average pay for those graduates was a little over $54,600. What I don't have on this slide is that we also survey our students 5 years after they graduate. We don't do that every year. We do it about every 4 years. And what our most recent longitudinal follow-up survey shows is that our graduates' pay increased by about 78% 5 years after they graduated. And so if you think about that, our students are typically getting pretty good jobs, but that's not the end of the story. It's important for them to continue to grow in their whatever career field they choose. And we see that growth, and we have evidence that people do well years after they're done at the college. A little bit more locally, 733 people were enrolled from Sawyer County last year, and that's about a little under 4% of the total population in Sawyer County. Or if you want to think about it this way, it's about 1 in 25 people took a class at Northwood Tech last year from Sawyer County. And 176 high school students took at least one class through Northwood Tech last year. And so those are kind of some more local ways to describe how we're serving the area. And I should point out here that even though we have those 4 campuses, you saw some other sites in between those 4 campuses where we do more limited programming, but we also do programming in a lot of other places in between those places. I mentioned the fire department example. A lot of times we do that training right on site at local fire halls. And so we have more than, I think annually, about 200 instructional locations throughout that big footprint of an area that we serve. If you want to go to the next slide. And so we're heavily focused on workforce development and economic mobility at our college. And so on this slide, unfortunately, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read this as well as I would like, but I have it pretty much memorized. So hopefully I get all of these numbers and programs right. These are our top 5 programs in terms of average starting pay. There's kind of a nice mix of programs up here. You'll see our criminal justice program, which leads a lot of times to law enforcement occupations, had starting pay of over $66,000. Automated packaging systems technician is an advanced manufacturing occupation. So the best way to explain this program is if you think about everything you buy, it comes in a package. From the shrink wrap, around orange juice to a box you get on your front steps, all of those are part of a huge industry, the packaging industry. And we have a program that trains people how to take care of the machines that do packaging. And it's a very lucrative occupation for people who go into it, especially if they're willing to travel. If you are a company that has invested millions and millions of dollars in a machine, and getting your product out the door hinges on whether or not the machine works, you're willing to pay somebody to keep it going. So these are very good jobs for folks who can go through these programs and are kind of in that engineering track. Truck driving is a great example of a short-term program that leads to fantastic economic outcomes for people who go through it. One of my favorite stories for truck driving is we had an individual who was living out of his car at one of our campuses, and we don't let people live out of cars, usually on our sites, and for obvious reasons. But this is a short-term program, and this person needed to make it through to be able to get a good job, and eventually did. And so if you think about going from essentially being homeless to having access to a job that pays over $70,000 a year in the matter of about 10 weeks, that's pretty good outcome for an individual. And then the last two represent healthcare programming. And a lot of people associate technical colleges with the trades, which is definitely spot on. But our largest cluster of programming at our technical college is actually in health sciences. And that's a reflection of the region that we live in. We have an aging population. And so there's a lot of investment in healthcare in our region, and there's a lot of really good jobs in healthcare. And so our programming reflects that. If you want to go to the next slide. And then I'm going to talk about the Homes project. The last time I was here, I talked about this project a little bit. I've got a few slides on this one. It's fun talking about it in this community because you're actually, seeing the project happen, but I do talk about this project in almost every presentation that I do right now because I think it's a really good example of an effort at community development and solving one of the big challenges that a lot of communities face with respect to housing. HOME stands for Housing Opportunity Mobile Education Solutions, and that was the name of a grant that Northwood Tech wrote about 5 or 6 years ago. It was a workforce innovation grant through the state of Wisconsin. It was $10 million. And we partnered with Impact 7 and thought that it was really important to try to bring at least one of those grants up into our region so that we, could invest it in something positive and innovative in the northwest part of the state. And if you go to the next slide, I'll kind of talk about that project just as a reminder a little bit. Actually, can you go to the next slide, and then I'll probably ask you to come back to this one. So now you can actually see what I have on this screen. This is a rendering of the community building. And if you go to the corner of Hospital Road and Highway 27, you can see this community building actually there now. And what this slide shows is what the college is going to have access to on the interior of that building, these shaded yellow spaces. One of them is a dedicated classroom, and the other one is a community room. And so the residents will use the building for things like anniversaries and birthdays and those kinds of things. But if you've ever been in one of those buildings in one of these kinds of multifamily housing communities, a lot of times those buildings aren't being used. And so the innovative part of what we were trying to create is a way to use that building to serve the community in addition to the residents. And so if you go back to the last slide, I'm sorry, I should have put these in different order. Thank you very much. If you can scroll, yep, oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so that footprint of the community building, if you look kind of to the left, you see a mobile training lab. That's a 53-foot, to scale, a 53-foot semi-trailer that is, that we've designed to be a lab. And so there's a couple of examples down on the bottom. We have a mobile welding lab, a mobile mechatronics lab, and a mobile advanced manufacturing lab. We also actually now have a mobile dental lab. And we can run credit programs, so college programs, out of these mobile labs. So the community building and the project was designed so that students can exit that trailer when they're using it onto that sidewalk and go into the building and use the kitchen and the bathrooms and the classrooms. The reason that's important, if you know anything about welding, you know that you have to be good at math. And so you can't really teach math in a trailer with 8 welding booths in it. And so having access to a space like that community building allows us to buy to equip the labs, but then move them around into communities that wouldn't otherwise have access to that hands-on type training. So that's kind of our piece of the Homes project. We don't own that. We don't own any portion of the housing project, just so you're aware of that. But the grant that we wrote included $6 million of equity for 3 projects throughout the northern part of the state. One of them is here, obviously. There's another one in St. Croix Falls that's done. And then Hurley has one that's a little bit behind the project in Hayward. And if you want to scroll down a couple slides now. This isn't too long ago. This is this fall. And so if you've been by there lately, I just went by tonight. It looks a lot different than this. And you can keep scrolling down and go all the way to maybe to that last one. Excuse me. And so there's some examples of the housing units here, which is probably what a lot of people are interested in. I've been talking about the training component. But each of these developments is 40 units, mixture of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom apartments. The rent levels are based on county median income, and so it's considered workforce housing. And I can tell you the St. Croix Falls project leased up before it was completed and had 100 family interest list. So it was way oversubscribed. It really documented the need for housing in that community. In Hayward, the last time I checked, over half of the units were spoken for. And I think there was more than 100 people on the interest list in Hayward. And so the project is gaining a lot of interest from people in town. Hurley literally is just slabs on the ground, but there's 40 people on an interest list in Hurley as well. And so I think it just speaks to the need for housing that we've been talking about in a lot of, community circles for a long period of time. And one of the benefits, of course, to these kinds of projects, some of like the 1-bedroom units may be filled by seniors or people who are still living in a single family house that might be too big or a lot of maintenance for them, but there's not really another good option. And so I talked to a resident in St. Croix Falls, and when she moved, it opened up her house. She sold it, and it was a great starter home for somebody in that town. And so there's kind of a ripple effect when you do a project like this, and that's what we're hoping to see, of course, here in Hayward. I should be sure that I thank a lot of partners because these projects require a lot of help to get done, even though there was some grant funding involved. The grant funding was about $6 million, and all 3 projects combined, not individually, but the total project cost for all 3 was about $46 million. And so Impact 7 as a developer found the funding for the rest of the projects. But the Sawyer County and LCO EDC was critical in helping us locate a site in town. So Hayward was a community that was attractive based on market study information, but it's pretty hard to find vacant land, within the city limits in Hayward. The hospital, of course, the Department of Workforce Development, WEDC, and some entities that serve as tax credit investors, which is kind of a wonky thing that's related to this type of program that I won't get into in a lot of detail. But all signs so far point to this being a very successful project. All right, next slide. And then I just wanted to mention that our college is coming to the end of a strategic plan, and we're going to kick off a new strategic planning process. There's a lot of detail on this slide, but really what I want to make people aware of is that in about April, we'll be opening up a survey, and we're looking to collect feedback with that survey. We'll go through a lot of steps internally to analyze data and feedback. And then if you go to the next slide, next September, I'll be doing town hall meetings in our campus communities, and probably one online town hall meeting. And we'll present the direction that we think we're going to go for the next 3 years as an institution, and take additional feedback and modify so that we have a plan in place by January of 2027. And so if you're interested in influencing kind of the next wave of things that we focus on, I'd encourage you to participate in that. And then the next slide is just, I always like to kind of close with our mission and vision at the college. We're really focused on students, so our mission is to put students first. And we want to strengthen communities by empowering each student to realize their own version of success or their own success story. A lot of our students are, most of our students are part-time, as I talked about a little bit earlier. Many of them have families themselves, jobs, mortgages, those kinds of things. And it's really hard for them to go back to school in a lot of cases. We have a lot of people right out of high school too, so I don't want to overlook those folks. But they've made a difficult decision to go back to school, and a lot of times are putting in a lot of effort to kind of bet on themselves. And so we view our success through their ability to be successful and our ability to support them. And then our vision, which is on the next slide, is to transform communities. And again, we want to do that by being recognized as an economic development and workforce leader throughout our region, but again, through people seeing success in our students. So all of our graduates, I talked about the kind of the economic mobility and the workforce issues for those individuals, but the people that graduate from our college are also the people serving us in our communities. And so I believe that there's a benefit to everybody when we have good technical colleges and systems like that to make our communities as strong as they can possibly be. And then I think that I have a question slide. If there's any questions, if the chair wants to allow me to do that, or
Absolutely.
he can tell me to exit.
Does anybody have questions?
I do, Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
John, so if Northwoods Tech has property tax authority,
Mhm.
do you then have any elected board? Or who gave you that authority, or how do you?
Yeah, so the way the statutes are written, we actually have an appointed board. So it's a really good question. But the counties are involved in appointing our board. And so elected officials appoint our board. And so the chairs of the 11 counties where we have a presence or overlapping taxing districts, each of the chairs or a designee participates in our board appointment process. And that's part of statute. Yep.
The high school students that take courses, do they get credit for that? And is that transferable to other universities or other tech schools?
Yes, the legislature over the last decade or so has been really active in requiring that the universities of Wisconsin and the technical colleges collaborate to make sure that common classes like sociology, psychology, English composition transfer seamlessly for students. My daughter, just as an aside, she graduated from Stout last year, but she started at Northwood Tech, got a 2-year associate's degree, went to Stout, finished in 4 years, and all of her credits transferred. And so I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the other things that I think has changed since I was a kid is that it's really not an either or choice anymore. Like, do I go to a technical college or university? Which track am I on? And we get a lot of people who start at universities who come to us, and a lot of our students end up going to universities. Every one of our 2-year degree programs has an articulation agreement with the university. So if anyone in any one of our communities wants to get a 4-year degree, they can start locally and navigate that process. And the high school credits, we also are collaborating heavily with high schools. I think last year we had 1,300 high school students out of if you add up the 44 high schools in our area have about 3,400 graduates. So if you had a big senior class of all the high schools, it'd be 3,400 students. And we had about 1,300 or 1,400 students who had high school credit when they graduated. last year, just to give you kind of an idea.
Any other questions for Mr. Bill? The project you have out here, there's a deadline when it'll be finished up?
As soon as possible is the deadline. That it's actually about a year behind when we intended to have it done. But I believe, I'm not the developer, so I don't want to throw a date out there that they're held accountable to. But I know the target is summer and it looks like it's on track. When I drove by there today, they had fixtures in some of the places and so I'm guessing they're gonna be, this summer it should be completely done. I do believe they're gonna begin, once the construction activity is dying down a little bit, they're gonna start allowing people to move into some of the buildings earlier than when the project is completely done. And so I would guess in the spring, there'll start to be some move-ins.
It's a real asset to our community, so thank you for being involved in that. Anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you, everybody.
Number 10, appointments. The Board of Appeals appointment. You want to handle that? You want letter A?
We had 2 members leave the Board of Adjustments, so we had 2 openings. We did put out a solicitation in the newspaper. We had, I believe, 2 people apply. One of the people you see here, the first one, is actually moving up, correct? Still need to be approved by. Yep. So that one would be, he's already on the board as an alternate, would be moving up to a regular. And then I guess we should take them separately.
Yes.
So discussion and action on that one first.
Mr. Buckles.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Joe to a 3-year term appointment as a full member.
Second that.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Mr. Schuman to approve Joe Berard to a 3-year term as an alternate, and now he's moving on to the full board. Any discussion? Hearing that, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Letter B.
Then letter B are the 2 people that responded with a letter of interest to the advertisement in the newspaper. The recommendation here is a 3-year term on the Board of Appeals for Virginia Chabot, and then James Bassett would be a second alternate.
So letter B is Virginia Chapman on the board, and then Jim Bassett is the alternate.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment for 3-year term for Ginny Chabot as the full-time member and James Bassett as the alternate.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Wilson, second by Mr. Schuman to approve the 2 for the positions. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 11, Zoning Committee, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At last month's zoning committee meeting, heard 4 rezone cases in which 2 were approved and 1 was denied, and 1 was tabled. The rezone cases will be heard next on the agenda. The committee also approved 2 CUP permits. The zoning committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow morning at 8:30. At tomorrow's meeting, the committee is expected to hear 1 rezone case and several conditional use permit requests, along with an additional discussion on a Sawyer County solar ordinance and the other zoning ordinance amendments. The zoning office permits are starting to pick up for those anticipating spring projects. The zoning department is undergoing a larger enforcement project using new aerial imagery comparison, which is discovering multiple violations which are being addressed. And if there's no other questions for me, I turn it over to Mr. Cosmos.
Good evening. We have 3 rezone cases this evening. This is rezone 26-001. Applicant is Caden Thompson and Carter Lang. This is a 5.72 acre parcel located in the town of Meadowbrook. It is currently zoned Forestry 1. They are seeking to rezone that 5.72 acres to Agricultural 1 to be able to raise a couple of beef cattle on this property along with chickens. Per the zoning committee public hearing, there were 5 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 0 additional comments were received. Town of Meadowbrook approved the rezone requested of a vote of 2-0 on January 21st. And the Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing process, January 16th. It was recommended for approval of a vote of 5-0 with the findings of facts included in my staff report.
Ms. Hessel.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone 26-001.
Second?
We have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Helwig to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Letter C.
Yeah, and this one's actually right next door to the one you just approved. This property owned by Stephen and Marisha Schletti is also in the town of Meadowbrook, site address of 2134 State Highway 27. This property has 37.47 acres of Forestry 1. They would also seek a rezone to Agricultural 1 A1 in order to conform with farm use, hay harvest, and eventually to add livestock onto the property. As per the action of the town board, it was approved to vote 2-0 January 21st, 2026. Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing process on January 16th, 2026. It was recommended to approve with a vote of 5-0.
Mr. Schuman.
Motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve rezone 26004.
And I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Swinski to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. Letter D.
This one is somewhat of a formality, but it is something that still legal counsel has advised that we go through the county board process. This is rezone number 26-005 owned by Matthew Winters and Justine Abel. This is in the town of Bass Lake. The request is to, the parcel itself is 15.928 total acres on residential recreational 2. The purpose of the request is to rezone 8.32 acres of that land, specifically that land lying north of Smith Lake Creek, from RR2 to Industrial 1. This would then to be constructing storage and distribution building with rental suites and for a distribution facility for Snap-on tools. This underwent a lengthy public hearing process at the zoning committee level as well as at the town level. There were 12 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners within 300 feet. One additional comment was received in opposition along with several oppositions during the public hearing process. The town of Bass Lake denied the rezone request of a vote 4-0. And at the Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing process on January 16th, 2026, it was also recommended for denial of a vote of 5-0, with the findings of facts included in the staff report. Again, the county board would have the ultimate say as to either go against both the recommendations of both the town and zoning committee or uphold those recommendations and to deny the rezone.
Jay, what was the opposition to this deal?
Spot zoning, they were worried that industrial use would be a mixed use within that area. You can see from the maps of where this is located, actually just kind of off the corner of 27 and just to the south of that is that Fun Valley, right? Is that where the golf course is? Someone that knows that area, Fun Valley? Yeah, kind of on the corner of 27 and Fun Valley there. It's a vacant wooded lot right now. Again, the golf course, Hayward National, now in construction to be a campground, is immediately to the east. But the request again was to rezone to industrial, and it was recommended that it would have to go to industrial zone district to do this type of specific distribution facility in which the applicant was wanting to put in that location. And again, the town had a variety of findings of facts in which they used to determine that it was not a compatible use in that area, and I think they justified it very well from what I remember here. The change of the zone district would be contrary to the public interest. It would not be in compliance with the spirit of the zoning ordinance because it would be damaging to the rights of others or property values. would create air quality, water supply, and pollution problems. It would create topographical problems such as runoff, drainage, erosion, flooding, and vegetative cover removal. It would not be compatible with the surrounding uses in the area. I don't know if that was ever brought up during that process.
I'll make a motion to deny rezone number 26-005.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. Cran, who second? Mr. Evans to approve the denial?
Sure.
Deny.
Yeah, to deny the rezone. Yeah.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Polsky. Number 12, Public Works Committee report. Mr. Howard.
Sawyer County Airport report, Mr. Kemp, turn your light on. Thank you very much, sir. Walked the committee through a proposed pen and ink amendment to the airport layout plan, which incorporates outline of future airport property around the runway project zone. This amendment is a minor update. Full 300 page airport layout plan will be presented once the airport master plan is approved. Mr. Leslie provided the January airport report and stated that there are waiting on state and federal governments to move forward on the airport master plan. Motion to approve the changes to the airport layout plan and forward to the county board were unanimously approved. Excuse me. Maintenance, Mr. Schmidt provided a written report on January county maintenance projects. Maintenance department is staying busy and doing a fine job. Highway Department, Commissioner Pinal updated the committee on January highway projects. January 21st was a winter training roundtable discussion with state. The County D Bridge replacement was awarded and will be a spring project. County E is underway for 2027. LRP applications have been submitted for County Road F and DD. The department is exploring the Samsara GPS system for use in the fleet. Mr. Pernell gave a demonstration to the committee after the meeting. An application for a driveway permit to a new business on County Highway B west of Dollar General was discussed. It will cross a paved walking path, and the committee agreed the path should be paved if disturbed, excuse me. 3 possible locations were proposed and discussed. Motion to approve whichever driveway entrance works best for the owner. Motion carried without negative vote. The ad hoc committee update, Mr. Kinsley reported that the committee met with tribal members on Monday, February 2nd, reached a compromise on a route to take to the TGB meeting. The TGB chose option B, and the committee will meet again on March 2nd at 11 a.m. Thank you.
Any questions? Letter B, airport layout plan amendment. Is he on board?
Yeah. This is a pen and ink update to the airport layout plan. Pen and ink is meant for minor adjustments, and we do have Carl Kemper from Betcher Hoppy on to give us a little brief explanation on this. So I'll turn it over to him.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm up in Canada on a fishing trip right now, so I'm working off Starlink, and I'll keep my camera off to make sure my message gets through to you. But yeah, as was stated there, the ALP pen and ink is a method of doing minor updates to an airport layout plan that don't require a full master plan. As most or all of you know, we are working on wrapping up the full master plan. And as was described, working with the FAA, the federal and state aviation agencies to get those approvals and waiting on their reviews. So the airport layout plan update, this pen and ink is just to show show updated FAA standards for runway protection zones, which are areas that the FAA likes to protect on the ground for people and property on the ground. So what we're doing is we're showing some future property interests where at the intersection of Hospital Road and Airport Road, where MRS equipment is located, and then another parcel to the northwest of that intersection where there is a property that should be shown as future airport property interests. What this does is it allows Sawyer County to be eligible to utilize federal funds to acquire those properties should that funding be available and be made available to the county. So it's a pretty simple update, just saying that those are future property interests that Sawyer County Airport has. And should there come a time to acquire those properties, by approving this, it makes federal funding for acquiring those properties eligible at a typical percentage of 95% state and federal funding and 5% local Sawyer County funding.
Thank you. Wishes of the board.
I'll make a motion that we approve the pen and ink layout of the airport.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Rickheimer to approve. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Carl. Number 13.
Thank you all.
Public Safety Committee report, Mr. Buckles.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Sawyer County Public Safety Committee meeting met on February 5th. Clerk of Courts, Register, and Probate reports were given. There were 2 graduations from the treatment court in January. Judge Yackel spoke to the committee about increasing intake into the program and advised the court is coordinating with the schedule to accommodate the Berkey demands. The sheriff's patrol report, the written report was reviewed. Call volume increased to 794 calls. Received in January, there were 22 crashes in January and 11 with personal injury and 2 snowmobile fatalities. Jail report, a written report was given by Lieutenant Wooler. There are 60 average inmates incarcerated with 72% unemployment rate at the time of booking and 3 on electronic monitoring. Dispatch emergency management was a written report. Joint powers agreement has been received from towns. The Berkey is set for February 16th through to 22nd. 2 communication grants are being finalized. January's CAD calls numbered 1,292. Code enforcement, Jazz, January pound admissions were low, and the most calls coming in were for lost animals, and there was no tourist rooming house complaints or health and human hazard complaints. Child support was given, and emergency services, Mr. Fremmel provided a written ambulance report with analysis of data showing that second crew in Hayward has stabilized operations. The medical examiner reported 2 snowmobile ATV, 2 snowmobile. Was there ATV fatalities too?
He said that.
He did?
Yeah, but that may just be the class of.
Okay. Oh, I guess I didn't I thought there was just 2. Sheriff, can you verify that? Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. And the medical exam, that I already read that part, and 2 suicides. So that ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Buckles? Hearing none. Number 14, Land, Water, and Forestry Resource Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sawyer County Land, Water, and Forest Resources Committee met on Monday, February 11th. Ms. Thompson presented the January report for Register of Deeds Office. Written reports for land records and the county surveyor department were received by committee members. In terms of forestry, the 2026 emergency fire wardens, Mr. Doss presented a list of names to appoint as fire wardens, and the committee approved the list for submission to the county board. County forestry report, Mr. Peterson reported 18 active timber sales in January. There's a little over $4.6 million of sold and uncut timber on file. Mr. Peterson also reported LP is currently suspending log deliveries. Assume it's an inventory problem, either finished product or raw material over inventoried. And there's nothing to report on carbon credits. Wisconsin DNR report, Mr. Fisher presented a written report on behalf of Craig Morris. U.S. Forest Service report, Mr. Martin reported 10 active timber sales on the Great Divide Ranger District. He noted that planning work for the McWanago Trail area off Highway 77 will host, there will be, the Forest Service will host trail hikes for interested stakeholders in that project area. And all recreational trails are very heavily used this winter. And pre-fire season work is also underway with the Forest Service. Motorized trails report, Mr. Davison notes very high trail use this winter. Injuries, recent injuries and deaths have prompted the association to increase efforts to educate the public on safety. Mr. Mrotik recently attended the 10-county NORTRAC meeting centered on uniform emergency signage. Apparently, many of the counties have their own signage, so it makes it kind of hard for people going from county to county maybe to understand what's going on. He also notes a large shortfall in funding needed to maintain the trail infrastructure. And Mr. DeVries will meet with the Alliance about Sawyer dispatch and grid system. Zoning Conservation Department report from Mr. Kozlowski reported that the DNR issued the official water level change for Billy Boy flowage. Land and Water Resource Management Plan was presented to the state and now moves forward to the county board for approval. And conservation staff attended the Northwest LWCA competition for the poster and speaking contest with soil where it all begins as the main theme. 2 speakers from Winter placed first and third, and the first place speaker and 1 poster will compete at the state competition in March. And last of all here, wildlife claims. Mr. Doss from USDA APHIS recommended 9 wildlife damage claims totaling $31,066.33 for approval, and noted the claim sites are inspected in person to verify they're not wildlife food plots, but actual agriculture. And the committee approved the claims for forwarding to the county board, but I understand that may not be necessary.
That's correct.
Item B, under Land, Water, and Forest Resources, I may turn it over to Mr. Kozlowski.
Yes, thank you again. The Land Water Resource Management Plan was developed in conjunction with a thorough advisory committee with multiple stakeholders. This is in accordance with the DAPCAP guidelines. It was then presented to the Land Water Forest Resource Committee twice and was approved at the official public hearing at the Land Water Forest Resource Committee on December 10th of 2025. This plan was then presented to the Wisconsin Land and Water Board as an extension of the Department of Agricultural Trade and Consumer Protection. It was noted that it was a great plan and that county conservation staff gave a great presentation, along with having measurable goals and objectives that match the county's resources. This plan was then approved by the Land and Water Board on February 3rd of 2026. This plan now requires adoption by the county board. Speaking with some of the elements that you'd heard during public comments, again, we did follow the guidelines that DACAP lays out for formation of the advisory committees that help develop this plan. Again, this plan was then 2 different times brought to a committee of jurisdiction, the Land, Water, Forest Resource Committee, where additional comments were taken and changes were made to the plan at that time. Also speaking to the aspects of the backlog of cost share projects. Sawyer County underwent a large cost share project this last year, and that was for under the Soil and Water Resource Management Grant, which again, counties get funding from the state by having a completed land and water plan. And then that grant money is given out to specialized projects. The larger specialized project that we had undertaken this year was for stream rehabilitation and stream bank protection as part of the Wilderness Walk Smith Lake Creek that had basically washed out, and even several buildings were kind of, I don't know if you guys remember that from 2 years ago. I mean, there was even a couple buildings that were undermining over that creek. So that's what used up a lot of our SWRM funds, our Soil Water Resource Management funds. We actually even borrowed some additional funding from other counties. And when I say borrow, counties that don't use their funds are eligible to donate it to other counties. We've done it in the past when we didn't have eligible projects occurring in our county. We actually got some from, I believe it was Price County. The backlog is just because we don't have that additional grant funding because we use that amount in a larger project. Next year, when we have the additional funds again, we will fund those additional projects and we won't have a backlog. Any other questions about the plan, I can try to go over, but it's again gone through a public hearing process. It's been approved by the state and just needs final ratification from the county board.
Chairman, I got a question for Jay.
Let's get
So
it-
this resolution and
Mr.
plan
Sherman,
was,
let's get it on the table.
oh, I'm
first.
sorry. Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion, we pass the 2027 to 2038 land water management plan.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Cayenne to approve. Mr.
Discussion, yep. Jay, so this was approved at the Land, Water, Forestry Committee level?
Yes.
Because I don't see it in the minutes. That's, I guess, why I asked you.
Yes, it's part of the resolution that it was approved as part of a public hearing process at the Land, Water, Forest Resource Committee.
Okay.
It was approved at the December meeting, correct? Not
Correct.
January, so it wouldn't be in these last minutes, that might be why.
Right,
That's probably why.
okay.
Anybody else has a question?
So does this fall under this resolution then, Jay, or, I mean, is it?
The resolution
two
is to
separate things?
solidify the county board's adoption of the plan. And that was the motion that was made to approve the plan, which is basically approving the resolution.
So we have a motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Cayenne to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries.
And you are correct, item D does not need approval of the county board.
Letter C, emergency fire warden appointments.
These fire wardens were put forth by the DNR for approval for the board. It went through Land and Water. This is DNR money that reimburses these people. The reimbursement rates were set at an earlier meeting in 2025. These are the actual claims now. And they were verified to be farm losses. These are not food plots. They're actually agricultural.
So letter C.
We're on the fire wardens. We're on the fire wardens.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get through it. So we have letter C, emergency fire wardens. We have to tentatively approve them if we wish to.
Make a motion to approve the fire warden organization list.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Howick, second by Mr. Newman to approve the 2026 emergency fire warden appointments. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Letter D is a state program. It's a pass-through money. We don't need that approval. We didn't know it at the time. That's why it got listed on the board, so we'll move forward. Thank you. Number 15, Finance Committee report. Mr. Ringheimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on February 12th. Our treasurer, Mr. Lehner, provided a written report on tax collections and delinquent parcels. For the Finance Department report, Ms. Ein reviewed monthly sales tax revenue budget performance reports for December 25 and January 26 and January CIP purchases. The departments we discussed were the Land Records Department, where we reviewed the 25 and January 26 financials for the Land Records Department. 25 revenues came in at 201% of budget. 225 expenses came in at 85% of budget. January numbers are on track for this department. For the Surveyor Department, we reviewed the 25 and January 26 financials for the Surveyor Department. 25 revenues came in at 578% of budget, expenses at 88%. January numbers are on track for this department. Zoning Department, January 25 and January 26 financials. The revenue came in at 130% of budget. 25 expenses came in at 82%, and those numbers are on track as well. For Forestry, revenues came in at 234% of budget. Expenses came in at 99%. A GNA grant and stumpage are not reflected in these revenues. January numbers are on track for this department as well. Investment review, the December investment report was provided. Interest rates are dropping. County CD investments are still holding above 4%. And then there was an elected official wages where Mr. Markin provided comps for similar counties for clerks of courts and sheriff wages for the upcoming 4-year term of discussion. We did approve this resolution. The motion carried without negative vote. That ends my report, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Markin for the resolution.
Thank you. Elected official wages must be set prior to the opening of the candidacy period. So that's what we're looking at tonight. I used the same process and the same comps from 2 years ago when we looked at the treasurer, county clerk, and register of deeds. The counties I use are northern counties considered rural and within positive or negative 30% of the population of Sawyer County. Those counties are Buffalo, Price, Rusk, Ashland, Bayfield, Burnett, Washburn, Taylor, Jackson, and Vilas. So the process I used for this is very similar to last time. I looked at all these counties. I got what they had paid for salaries in '26. And then I took the percentages that they all increased those other 3 positions from 2 years ago and applied that to these 2 positions to come up with what I would anticipate everybody kind of being in the range. If we adopt these, and also I took Sawyer County's same percentage of increase as those last positions. If we adopt these, we would be right around the middle of the pack of those comparable counties. In the end, we may end up being, instead of lower middle, more higher middle, because one difference between 2 years ago and now is 2 years ago, this group of counties, not very many had done a correction in these salaries, those salaries from 2 years ago. This time around for the clerk of courts and the sheriff, some of them had done the correction with the last cycle. So I don't anticipate them all increasing quite as much as the last go around from 2 years ago, but this should put us in a competitive state. The reason the increase looks a little bigger is these ones are only getting, I think, a 1% increase after that first year. So it kind of fell behind some of our other positions and comps within the region and those other counties that I looked at. Any questions on the process or how I got there? It's hard to explain my analytical mind, but I try.
Wishes of the board.
Make a motion to approve the resolution establishing salaries and providing the health insurance information regarding elected officials.
Second. I don't know who seconded it.
Mr. Evans.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Howard, second by Mr. Evans to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a quick comment.
Yes.
When you guys turn your lights on, the procedure is that you have to be recognized by the board chair. It's in the handbook, that's the way it is, but some of you just blurting it out and he don't know where things are coming from. Just an update.
Thank you. Number 16, Health and Human Services Board. Ms. Wilson.
Thank you. The Health and Human Services Board met on February 10th. We discussed the appointment of a new Health and Human Services Board member, Pam Mueller. She introduced herself and shared her background with us and gave her interest to joining the board. We agreed with that, and there was a motion to approve without a negative vote, and that will be coming to the county board for that approval. There was no LCO liaison report that night. The Senior Resource Center gave a written report, and Joey reported that on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., they have a Northern Homesteading program, which offers a variety of programs from home security to beekeeping to quality drinking water. And it was a really interesting variety of programs that they offer. During the administration report, Ms. Lyons reported an update on the committee on the strategic plan. There are several openings in HHS due to retirements. Joe Bodo is coming back to HHS to provide AODA services in addition to his work as a consultant. She discussed the collaboration with mobile crisis and other program staff to handle difficult client placements. She discussed the concerns about using AI and keeping protected health information private, and the department is looking for a secure AI platform because she felt that the reporting of court records may be contain sensitive information. She reported that ADRC has been very busy in recent months, and protective placements of individuals are an ongoing research concern. In behavioral health, Ms. Carlson discussed integrating licenses and possible ways to combine substance abuse and mental health treatments. There were 3 OWI assessments. There were 6 clients in CST, hoping for youth referrals to that program to increase their client base. The mobile crisis review was presented by Ms. Migren. There were 209 assessments in 2025, and the report showed a variety of data points that was noted that the number of elderly needing assistance is growing. The highest number for assessment was age 18 to 64 with 139, and 65 plus was 27. There were 71 abuse cases, and neglect cases were 161. Ms. Lyons reported that CPS received 263 reports in 2025 for youth, children, and family services. 96 were screened, with 85% within 24 hours. The overall number of out-of-home placements has decreased since 2020. Youth Justice had 3 referrals in December with 39 active clients. There were 38.5% homicide and firearm. There were 32% disorderly conduct in that juvenile delinquency report, because Sawyer County has one of the highest numbers. I think they reported to be number 5 in the state. Youth Diversion presented the truancy report showing a high success rate since it was initiated. There were 37 referrals in 2025. 82% were Native American children. 91.89% were considered successful. The economic support, the consortium report was given. There were 1,062 food shares for a total of $279,967 in benefits. There were 7,372 calls to this call center. In public health, Ms. McCallum reported the respiratory illnesses have decreased since January. There are 2 cases of measles in Wisconsin. The the Environmental Health Consortium has been placed on conditional agent status due to some deficiencies in 2025. And those deficiencies were mostly their inspections of tourist rooming houses and not being timely. Tamarack Health and Sawyer County Public Health continue to collaborate on a community health improvement plan, identifying goals and objectives. Then we talked about money, and we were done. Thank you.
Thank you. Letter B, confirm appointment of the Health and Human Services Board member Pam Miller. There's a total of 7 or 9 on the board. That is a board, not a committee, and they had an opening for it, and Pam Miller was approved for that. Wishes of the board.
I'd like to approve Pam Mueller to join the board. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ms. Wilson to approve, second by Mr. Haney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, Mr. Righeimer, Economic Development.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We met on February 9th. The UW Extension gave a report. Ms. Beltrusis reported on the vision statement and county goals. Ms. Zakeu, the new regional agriculture educator, was introduced, and Ms. Gregorian discussed the results from the Town of Draper's community survey. It was a survey of what the Town of Draper felt they would like to see. Hayward Lakes and Visitors and Convention Bureau report. Ms. Simons reported on search engine optimization, which includes Google and YouTube ads, publication ads, and social media engagement, and how it impacts Sawyer County. She spoke regarding the excellent winter conditions as it relates to outdoor recreation, especially ice fishing, thus far this year, and sports and positive impact it has on the community. The Sawyer County LCO Economic Development Corporation report was read by Ms. Hessel, and email report which was given to her from Mr. Lamaro. She reported on the talent recruitment and Thrive grants. On the trail reports, Mr. Newman reported for the Sawyer County Snowmobile Alliance on motorized trails. The report included updates on current trail conditions, local business updates, snowmobile safety classes, and fundraisers. There was no report on non-motorized trails, but we know the Berkey is on, and looks like it's going well despite some of the lack of snow we've had. Correspondence reports from conferences. Ms. Hessel reported on the biofuel bill that we voted on that week we had the meeting. That bill did pass by the Assembly. I believe it was passed by the State Senate as well, and that's going to, if it goes through, it will be centered here in Hayward over at, by the Johnson Timber, and it's a very exciting project for this area, for jobs, for lumber, and I thought I heard that the jobs that it may provide is like somewhere close to 100 in the $100,000 range. So these are good paying jobs in this community. It's really going to be thriving. Be based here if it goes through, and will be great for all of northern Wisconsin in the north and well into Canada as the lumber comes down to convert lumber into fuel. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Number 18, Sawyer County Administrative Report. Administrative Committee Report. Ms. Klein reported that the Senior Resource Center has a bulletin board out by her office now, and the ballots for the election of April 7th are being shipped. The Veteran Service Office reports the dollar amounts that he's brought in for people that are claiming disability claims. He does a very nice job of that. The Veterans Tribute was talked about, and it's moving forward. It's been through some more steps. Mr. Colson provided information regarding the technology department, and Nabokog Transit was brought information to us about they're building a new garage out there. County administrator gave us a report, and the elected officials' wages were set. That concludes my report at this time. Next item is letter B, resolution 2026 to establish membership with the MSISAC.
Thank you. MSISAC stands for Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. basically what it is, it's across state lines, county lines, and it shares information for internet safety, like spam threats, that kind of thing. And we are a member of it. It used to be, I believe, funded federally. That was dropped last year. The cost was put on to users like the county. I believe it's about $3,500. What this resolution is asking for is the state to cover that cost through a group. That is my report.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, establish membership at the MS-ISAC.
Mr. Buckles.
I'll second that.
So a motion by Mr. Rickhammer, second by Mr. Buckles to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Letter C, County Administrator report.
Thank you. First thing I'll report on is we did have our staff in service and wellness day on January 19th. Went very well. I've got some data here for you. I won't go into as much detail as I did an admin committee, but surveys I've done in the past, the goal is 4.0 is good. 4.3 is kind of your target you want to get at. So we've got some data here. The overall satisfaction was at 4.22. The location of facilities was 4.54. We held it at Hayward Wesleyan. With all the breakout groups we were doing and the large group activities, we could not hold it at the county building. Actually got a lot of feedback. People liked having it off-site because it felt like they could focus on that and not at work and checking emails. So that part went really well. As far as schedule and pacing, 4.41, so people really enjoyed that. The morning sessions came in at 4.28, so just a little under that target you hope for. And then some other questions I had were looking for feedback on closing the courthouse. 52 out of 54 people who took the survey really thought that helped with their participation. 48 thought that it helped with engagement, that the day was good for that and getting to know coworkers from cross departments. People might think, well, we all work, most of us work in the same building, we see each other all the time. That really isn't the case because we have such distinct departments and duties that we don't have a lot of interaction unless, like I work with the treasurer and the clerk, we have a lot of stuff we work on together, but I don't go to zoning a lot, I don't go to HHS a lot other than to check in every now and then. So this part of it is not only to learn, but also build a little camaraderie. One of our goals was to improve employee satisfaction. So this is one of the steps to do that. As far as expectations of the event, 16 people said it met or was beyond their expectations. 36 said it met. 2 people said it was below expectations. As you can see, there are 2 people that just really didn't want to be there. They showed up twice there. You're always gonna have that. And then some of the comments, what people like the most, having choices in breakout sessions, the wellness-focused topics, the opportunity to connect with coworkers, the ability to attend due to closure of offices, and the keynote speaker and variety of sessions, things to improve on. Some people wanted more large group activities. It was noted by a couple people, it was cold at the church, and it was. So if you weren't moving, it got chilly. And then just to expand the breakout session topics a little bit. The keynote session was kind of strategic on my part. It focused on emotional intelligence. That was something I knew would be new to a lot of people at the county, and it was. The data showed that. I had 5 questions there to my understanding of emotional intelligence prior to the session. That was very low, and I expected that. But then from there on, speaker presented concepts clear, easy to understand manner, and that you can see went way up. And also the speaker kept them engaged, and also that they could take that information and apply it to their daily personal and work life. So those were exactly the feedback I was hoping for, that it was a new topic, but it was something they could learn and take into their everyday life. Beyond that, economic development, I met with Adam Lamore, who's the executive director of the Economic Development Corp. And we looked at a grant opportunity that was out there, and it was a state grant, state economic development grant for talent recruitment, and it had to be from out of state. So if a business hired someone from out of state, there was reimbursement through this grant if we applied for it. From there, Adam went to local businesses to see what kind of interest there was in it. And only 2 companies really found it to be valuable. To sign up for the grant, we had to say that we would have 25 hires through the grant. And we didn't feel that we could get that with only 2 businesses thinking they could use it. So we elected not to move forward for it because it's a limited grant, competitive grant. If we only had 5 hires, we didn't want to take away from another entity that could really use the grant. Then moving on to finance, we're still closing out 2025. Our auditors are actually already starting to ask for some stuff. So we just got our audit report a few months ago. We're already looking at getting the next one done. Also, it's almost budget time again already. I've already got that on my mind. It just, everything comes so fast. But we'll continue to work, and I'll have some recommendations for finance and then to come to the board as far as if we have any surplus left and what to do with that, and got some ideas already. An update on the public safety radio network. We're in talks with LCO about the WOJB tower, and the TJB has expressed interest in this and that it's a priority for them. Public safety is a priority. We're still working on the design and engineering of the tower. Our equipment won't take a lot of space or a lot of weight. They're also looking at another cell phone carrier that would be higher and they're bigger, take more wind, wind resistance, so then there could be some engineering and some beefing up of the tower. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But the good news is we're talking it through and in a good place. Very good conversations about it. Moving on to, I guess, D, CJCC. We did have a meeting. I guess I mentioned that last month. The executive committee will be meeting, I believe, next Friday, which will be their first meeting in a while. So it'll be a good thing to get things rolling. We approved some additional changes to bylaws, which are coming before the board next. Just kind of cleaning up some language, along with one of the things we needed to change. We had 2 months in a row where we did not have a quorum. And to address that, when we finally had a quorum, we made some changes to the language to allow some of the positions to have an or designee, so that they can send someone in their place if they cannot make it. So that should help there. Some really great news. Justice Point received a $10,000 private donation to their programming. So that just shows they're doing a good job and people are recognizing it. That's the first one that I'm aware of we've received into that program. A couple other good things. Dave Dixon, who operates that little house across the street. What's the name of that again? Timber Bay. He reported that they have, on Wednesday nights, they have room for some kids there. They do kids programming after school, and he really would love at-risk kids to come there. That's what his focus is, but anybody is able to come. But he mentioned he's got space. And also, Weiss Library has programming on Mondays, and they have actually expanded. They used to have 1 program, now they have 2 because they've had more interest. So those are 2 opportunities for some of our kids to join and get mentored a little bit. And finally, the pastor from Hayward United Methodist Church reported that they are making headway in serving some of the homeless population in Sawyer County. And they are looking for a building to house them, not like a semi-permanent, but someone is here, they need a night. That's what the purpose would be there. And she also encouraged them for people in need to reach out to the Salvation Army as a first step. That ends my report.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Mike, I was wondering on the public safety radio network, so you're discussing within this committee, who makes the approval of the use of the tower for the WOJV tower. Where does that approval come from then?
That would be the TJB makes the final approval
They,
on that.
they would,
Yep.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Hearing none, letter D, CJC Committee, approval of amendments of the bylaws.
So you can see these before you. The changes are in red, I believe. Or blue. So there is some additional language that was recommended as far as working with LCO. Other than that one that's now number 8, it's as or designee to the council itself so that we can have a better chance of having a quorum. And actually, the last meeting, everybody was there. It was the first time since I've been here that we had 100% attendance. So that was great. So if you scroll down, I think there's a couple more changes. Section C, just changing the heading and a little clarification there. We did have a resignation from the board and we were a little bit unsure how to fill it. So this is clarifying that language as well. We had like if someone was removed, but not necessarily if they resigned on their own, at their own free will. And I believe, and this is, again is just resignation or removal of an officer. So these were approved at the CJCC committee level. Now moving on to the board.
Wishes of the board, Mr. Howard.
I make a motion to approve the CJCC bylaws.
And I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Howard, second by Marshall Savinsky. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Letter E, Navigaga Transit Garage. They're building an addition out there in the garage and being it's on county land. We have to give them permission to do so. Wishes of the board.
It is grant funded. There's no cost to the county. I did talk with the manager out there and to clarify where it would be, it will not interfere with the parking for the fair because it is connected to the building to the side of it. And then the other question I raised was the insurance on the addition, and they will pay for that as well. So there will be no cost now nor future cost to the county.
Could you clarify so it's attached to the building?
Yep.
But which side? Will it impede if the highway department ever wants to expand?
No.
No, it'll be by that woods, like on the
Yes.
far end?
Yep.
Okay, that's what we had talked about. I just want to make sure.
Motion by Mr. Howard.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Bickheimer. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Letter F, strategic plan. Mr. Markham.
All right, thank you. So I did present this draft version of strategic plan at the last meeting. This arrived from, when I first accepted this position, I had several board members say they would like to see a strategic plan that is a guiding document of what the county is about and what our priorities are. And that is so that they would have an answer to people when they raise a specific request to say, well, this does fit in with the plan, this does not. After that, I met with Ariga and Carl from UW Extension, and we came up with a plan and procedure on how to come up with a strategic plan, and this process looks different in every organization that you do it with. We came up with a plan we thought really felt Sawyer County. So whether the document is accepted as it is, or we send it back, make revisions, the important thing to come out of this, to me, the most important, is to cascade it down to the department level, because that's where the action really happens. To do and I've done this is my 5th strategic plan, and three out of the 4 previous ones did the static, okay, what are we up against? What are we doing well? What's working, what's not? That one-time static thing, to me, has felt like checking a box. and then it was never looked at again. What I want is a living document where people are using it daily. So bringing it down to the department level, and I'm working with them not only to develop their plan from the strategic plan, but also coming up with their strategies and also their benchmarks and how they're going to show us that they are making progress within the plan. Meeting with them then is when the department head and I can talk about, okay, so what are we doing well? What are the opportunities to improve on what we're doing within the plan? And also, what are some of the barriers to get to the strategies or the goals that we have set? So that will happen down there. They've made their own goals. I've worked with them. We've got some really good goals, and I've encouraged them, not that they have to, but to report out to their committee of jurisdiction. The reason I didn't say you have to do it is the department has report to me. I'm the one checking to see that they're making progress. I think that their presentations to their committee should revolve around the strategic plan and the goals so that we're all on the same page. But I'm the one that evaluates if they're making them or not. So just wanted to clarify that. And again, that isn't when I'm meeting with them, it's not a static one time, okay, this is what we're up against, this is what we're doing well. But as we go, and maybe we modify goals or modify strategies throughout the year to reach those goals. So that's kind of my process and my thinking behind it. Tonight, we can have a discussion whether to move forward or to send it back if you would like additional information, additional pieces to the plan or process, whatever the wishes of the board are.
Mr. McGovern.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the strategic plan process you're going through.
Mr. Magnuson.
I'd like to second that motion.
We have a motion. We have a motion by Mr. McGovern, second by Mr. Magnuson. Discussion.
I just want to state that I really like the process that you've used and your thoughts going forward on this strategic plan. Thank you.
We have a motion, I have a second. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 19, Board Appointment Committee updates. Anybody have anything you want to share with the county board? Number 20, correspondence reports, conferences, and meetings.
I have one.
Yes.
I have a report from the Nemacoggin Transit, a little bit of an update. The ridership for January 2026 was 4,769. This was up 245 rides from January of 2025. They continue to see a decrease in the rides are providing for their venture riders in all three counties, as they were down by a total of 872 in 2024. New operations mobility manager update was hired. Brian Mueller started on Monday, February 9th. He is tasked at learning the operation side of the transit, and then he'll be working along with the transit manager. The staff, they currently have 29 employees, 16 full-time, 13 part-time. Currently we'll have one employee that will be going on FMLA. That's not real important, but they have hired a full-time CDL driver to fill in for the Spooner route. They have a scheduling and work shift easier for the full-time and part-time dispatchers. They have 2 part-time employees going to full-time employees this month, and one is dispatch and one works at the front desk. That ends my report.
Thank you.
Question, where does the senior center report to? What does that committee report to? I'm sorry?
HHS.
Oh, I didn't see a report on there, and I had just got some information that they were, correct me if I'm wrong, who's ever on the committee, but that they were, if you can drive, you have to come to the senior center now to eat. Is that correct? They're cutting back on Meals on Wheels? Somebody had called me and was concerned, so.
We just had that meeting Tuesday night, and that wasn't said that way.
Nothing said then.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Mr. Rickheimer and Mr. Markman, that bill for the forestry, that was approved on Thursday?
The assembly, I think previously approved by the state senate, right? So now no?
No. By the assembly, went through Ways and Means and the full assembly, no.
We had a hearing at the Senate.
Okay. And now the next step is,
Senate.
which my understanding is they're in favor, or optimistic, I should say.
Well, the committee that it was reported to was in favor.
Right.
But I don't, never know till it gets to.
Well, right. But
So will that still go through? I mean, that's not the right question. Question is, I thought they were done voting as of today. Am I incorrect? What do you know about it, Stacy?
I will just, I don't know if they're done or not. They can do special, they can come back for special votes.
Okay.
I have a question. Well, I think, Mike, do you know, I know there was other states in competition. It does seem like with the assembly approving that we're, is it safe to say we're ahead of Minnesota and Michigan, or we don't know?
I don't know where the other states
Okay.
are at. I know we were close with Minnesota. I think Michigan was maybe a little behind, but.
So it's still not finalized yet then? Okay, just want to clarify.
I got one more question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say a little bit about the Senior Resource Center. We still have open positions on the board. So if anybody would like to sit on the board, we got room. Stacy?
I don't know that they will.
But we do have room, and we would like to get the board filled up to where it should be.
Ron, kind of wrong with Stacy, her statement, but, when does that mean?
Turn your light on.
It meets, the third Tuesday of every month.
I'll get back to you.
At night, so. So it could be from any area though, right, Liz? I mean, it's at large, right?
There were 5 one from each place that's a
Yeah.
center, 5 and 4 at large, for the total of 9, plus 2 are appointed county board members.
Right.
But you're serving as
I'm
a different
sitting on-
capacity, yeah.
Yeah, excellent and Radisson will give what?
Okay, thank you. Number 21, future agenda items. Anybody have anything they wish to bring to the full board? Or if you think of something during the month, feel free to contact administrator or the county clerk. Thank you for your valuable time. Meeting adjourned.